great.
Beautiful, beautiful.
How are you?
Awesome. Doing well, doing amazing. Great to see your smiling
I,
face. Sometimes Instagram is a little funky. It just takes a few times.
okay. Okay. I thought I was doing something wrong, but maybe I was.
No, you weren't doing
Okay.
anything wrong. Nothing wrong.
I don't.
No.
The second time I've done this. The first time was with when we first did it together, and now this is the second time. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Is it sunny where you are right now?
Yeah, it's sunny. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
It
see?
look
Can't see this.
it looks like it. Yeah, out here it's a little cloudy out here in New Braunfels in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A little cloudy, but the sun's trying to peek its way through.
Yeah, here there's lots of sun. Tomorrow's gonna be cloudy, but yeah, it's good. I like your necklace.
Oh, thanks. Somebody gave this to me. Yeah,
Nice.
I was out in there's a little story behind this. I was out in Riverside and sometimes, I'll play my flute when I'm in different places
Uh-huh.
and I'm in different spaces. I'll play this flute and people will just walk by and give me things, you
That's
know?
sweet.
Yeah, so somebody walked by and he gave me this. He said, I made this and he said, I want you to have this. Guess what the stone is called?
Jerome? No.
No, the stone is called pranite.
Oh. Oh.
Pranite. Yeah, it's a pranite gemstone. And he said, I want you to have. He didn't even know about my lifestyle. He didn't know anything about what I'm into, but he gifted me this pranite.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Jerome. Amazing.
So yeah. So gemstone maker. I was like, wow, that just can't be coincidental. Yeah.
Yeah. They say there are no coincidences, so
Do you believe that?
I don't know. I sometimes I believe that there aren't, that everything happens for a reason because it's all about energy, right? So maybe whatever energy you're putting out, you're getting in return. So there's something about the universe that maybe there is no coincidence. Maybe everything is happening for a reason. So yeah.
You know, because the reason why I ask you, Rakhi, is because, I know you put me on to The Universe Has Your Back, right? You put me on to that. You said that that book and that author, really gave you a lot. But you also said that, back in the days, you never used to be spiritual.
Right.
Like you were never kind of inclined to that kind of, you know, wave or that kind of vibration, what many people might call woo woo, you
Yeah.
know?
And I used to call it that, and I didn't have any of those things being spiritual, or I really believe in any of that stuff, and I wasn't connected in that way. And so it was just, maybe some people have special gifts and I don't have them, and so I just kind of left it at that and didn't really want to venture too much in that direction.
Right. So when did that change for you?
On this chronic path, as I, the first year or so, it was just physical, very physical detoxing, and slowly, as you come on this path, as you start detoxing, then it does lead you on the spiritual path, and so it did then eventually third, fourth, fifth. Now I'm on my sixth year, so it does lead you into the spiritual path, and so it's really weird. It's like we always have it within us, but it's us just not listening or being able to listen to that message. So funny thing happened this morning that you mentioned, this whole spiritual thing is that about energies is that, in the morning, like I was going to I usually talk to a friend of mine. So I was going to call him, and then something told me, don't call him, just message him because he's on another call right now. Now, how did I know that? And I thought it was just weird that I got this thing that he's on another call. Don't call him, just message him. And so I did, and I was curious to know if my intuition was correct or not. And so then when he did message me, I said, when I messaged you, were you on? No, he actually told me. He goes, actually, you know what? When you messaged me, I was on another call. And I was like, damn, I knew it. I knew you were on another call.
Whoa.
And he says, I was pretty intense in my conversation. I said, no, I got that feeling that you were on a call. And he was like, you're scary. And just it's just that you get these intuition, these feelings, and if you start listening to them
Mhm.
and actually on this breatharian path, you start clearing up so much of your physical stuff that when you clear all that up, then you're able to get into the subtle energy, subtle like vibrations and things. And so I find myself now, being able to listen to that intuition. Whereas before, like you said, Jerome, that wasn't me. I was like, that I don't have that. But being on this path has allowed me to tune in and hone in on some of those voices that you get in your ear. I don't know
Wow.
what some people call it, spirit guide, some people call it your higher self. I don't know what you call it, but it's just this voice you get. And then if you listen to it, it's like your intuition. You listen to it, and then it leads you down the right path.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're saying like these voices in your ear, like the good voices, the intuitive
Yeah.
voices, like you're saying they only came on this path in particular.
Well, you know what, Jerome? I think that we all have it. It's just that with all the food and the lifestyle and everything, we don't listen to it, and we just are not very tuned to it. But I think as you start clearing up a lot of the physical burden on your body, all the toxicity and all that, then you're able to, then it's more clear. So I
Mm-hmm.
think we all have it, but we just don't tune into it. But I think being on this path allows you to kind of listen to it a little bit more.
Okay. Okay.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, because what would you say, being coming up on 6 years, and for those who have never heard of you before and don't know what you mean when you say 6 years,
Yeah, right.
this is 6 years without solid food.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
6 years when, I mean, most people won't go 6 days, right? You've gone 6 years without solid food. What would you say was one of the first times that something of that magnitude happened to you, where it was just unexplainable? You just could not reason it away. You couldn't logically understand or kind of quantify what was happening, but you realized this is happening, you know?
Like what the spiritual path is opening up for me?
Yeah, like something that just opens you up in a new way that you said, oh my gosh, this is undeniable.
Well, you know what? Once my friend, she opened my third eye. Her name is Veronica. She's been on my channel a few times, but she's opened my third eye. And then what happened was after that, I started having all these weird spiritual energies coming in my body, and it was really weird. Like, and I have explained it on my videos, but basically I was sleeping, and then something else took over my body. So I was aware that something has taken over my body. I had no control over my body. It has taken over, and it was doing what it needed to do, and then it left. So that was that. And I was like, okay, you know what? Someone who's not spiritual, I'm like, what the hell was that took over my body? Like, you know what I'm saying? And it did something. It did some, inside my brain. It did something in my throat and my belly button. It was almost like it was adjusting me or something. And then it left.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now, if you're not spiritual, this would definitely make you spiritual. Like, what the hell was that? It's like, so that was one of the first times that I was like, they always say that, you are not your body, you are your soul, and, you're something more than your body. And, when you live in this 3D world, you just behave and feel like, and I grew up just thinking that I am my body, right? And then this kind of an experience is like, whoa, I am not my body. It was my consciousness watching what was happening to my
Whoa.
body. So my body is working on autopilot. It's working. Something else came into my body, did something to it, and I'm just an observer watching what is happening to my body. So obviously my body, so those were kind of those awakening moments, and that happened a few times, and I was scared. I was like, what the hell is this? I would lock my door. I was like, and I don't really like this kind of, it spooks me out, honestly. It's like really spooky. So I'm not really comfortable with it. And so I think that's why it hasn't continued to happen to me, because I was like, no, I don't want this to happen.
Okay.
And the second time it happened, it was like almost knock on my head, and it said, I'm going to come in. I was like, no, I don't. If you're bad, whatever, I don't want you to come into my body. And it just came in, and it adjusted something and kind of tuned me up again. And then when it did its job, it just left. It just left, and I had my body back, and I was like, okay, and I felt good. Whatever, something to me that was good. So
the feeling was good, so you knew it must be like a benevolent being instead of a malevolent being.
Right.
Okay.
But then there's so many beings, like I've been told there's so many kind of beings out there. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but whatever it did, it was good.
Okay. It sounds like a Reiki attunement from like an intergalactic presence or something, like.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost like a psychic. One of my videos I did, it was called psychic surgery. It's almost like they went in. It was painful. It's like went inside and they did something to my brain and then did something to my stomach, my belly button, and my heart was expanding. And I thought I was going to die. Okay, this is the third time it happened where it came inside I was in Serbia. I was traveling, and it came inside my heart and expanding and contracting my heart. I thought I was going to die. It was compressing my heart so much that I was like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Stop it. Stop doing this to me. And I was telling it to stop doing this. And then I was like really focused on like stop, and it would stop. And the moment I would relax, it would do it again. And I thought, oh my God, I'm really gonna die. Like it was compressing my heart so much. I felt like I was like, ah. And it kept doing it. And I said, then I surrendered, Jerome. I said, you know what? Fine. Do whatever it is that you need to do, but just leave. And then it's almost like it was pumping my heart. It was like cleansing my heart in a way. It kept contracting, like and compressing it. And it kept doing that, and then it left. And I was like, maybe it cleansed my heart. I don't know what it did. I was freaked out about the whole thing. And then after that, I'm like, you know what? I don't want these experiences. So it hasn't happened to me because I don't really like all these kind of things.
Wow. Because, even as you're speaking, Rakhi, because this is thank you for this testimony that just boggles the mind of what can happen on an energetic, on an etheric, on an astral level, to these presences with our body.
Yeah.
And just to let us know that we are living in a body, but we are not the body itself. Because I can recall doing, these sessions with people that were like, they did this emotional technique where they were working with the subconscious and they would answer these questions and they were tapping into me and I was just closing my eyes and just listening, and they were asking questions, and they said they found out that I had a heart wall. That's what he called it. He called it a heart wall that was made of like steel or just like, something that was really thick that had, over time been concretized and crystallized just to wall, like to, forming to either protect me or, to block out something due to traumatic experiences that I had built up this wall in my heart.
Yeah.
So when you say that your heart was like opened, almost forcefully opened by this presence, what were you able to do afterwards that you weren't able to do before? Like
I
what
just
was
felt lighter. It just felt maybe more love coming in. I just felt more, I don't know, lighter. I felt lighter. It's almost like there's this energy that it was taking away from me. Just kept compressing it and expanding it and compressing it. It's almost like it's pumping out whatever energy that wasn't serving me or something. And I these energies or whatever, these beings that whatever came inside were actually helping me on my pranic path, because every time, those 3 times this happened, every time it happened, I felt better for it. I felt like, wow, something good did happen. I was feeling good. And there was a time that I'm like, well, where are they? How come they're not coming in? And the moment I said that, Jerome, that's when the heart thing happened. That was the third thing. They're like, we're right here. Let me pump your heart. I'm like, okay.
we're right here. We're right here. Let me pump your heart up. Let me pump it up. We're right here. So the moment you asked,
Yeah.
you're saying the moment you said, where are they? They were like, here we are.
Here we
Almost
are.
like they were waiting on permission to come assist you.
Right. And you have to get into that brainwave. You have to be in that kind of a sleepy, kind of like a theta brainwave pattern. And you're just kind of in that kind of mode, and you say, okay, where are they? And your body has to be completely relaxed, and then it comes in,
Okay.
Yeah.
So you completely.
But one of the times, it's not right before falling asleep. I was asleep, and it woke me up saying, here we are, So it's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So it actually woke you up physically.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And control over my body, and I'm just an observer watching it. And that blew my mind away, Jerome, because coming from a non-spiritual background or non-spiritual nothing, anything, like wasn't involved in it, didn't think about all this stuff, nothing, you know. And then these kinds of things start happening on my pranic path. It's just, that's what brings you into spirituality, that there are things apart from our 3D world that we live in.
Yeah. No, it seems like it, you know. I totally agree with you because, you know, Rakhi, you probably heard this before, but there's a quote and it's by Arthur C. Clarke. And the quote is, there are two possibilities, both of them equally terrifying. Either we are alone in the universe or we are not, you know? And I always thought about that quote, like two possibilities, only two, right? Either we're alone out here or we're not alone out
And they're
here,
both,
you know? And
yeah,
but he said both of them, for him, he said both of them are equally terrifying.
yeah,
The thought that we're all alone, like we're all we have, or the thought
yeah.
that actually there's a lot
We are.
more than we think, you know? So what do you feel about that when you hear that,
I,
you know?
I definitely don't think we're alone. I definitely think that there's so much out there that we don't know that is out there. And there are people that are super gifted that can kind of see a lot of the stuff that's out there.
Mhm.
Um, but I definitely think that we are guided. If you just tune into your intuition, it guides you, and that's coming from someone who didn't believe in any of this. But like recently, I do, like, it guided me, and this morning it guided me to not call my friend. It
Right,
guided me to message him because he's on a call. Now how am I supposed to know that he was on a
right,
call? But I just knew that he was on a call. Now that's kind of like, that was kind of a, you know what happened to me. I said, should I call him? And there was a blockage in the energy, and I said no, because the energy wasn't flowing. I said no, he's on a call right now, so I'm not going to call him. I'm going to let him finish his call. So
right.
yeah, so it's just tuning into those subtle energies, which the breatharian pranic path allows you to tune into, because you're not burdened by the toxicity in your body, where your body's dealing with so many things. It's more clean, so you can kind of tune into other energies. And so that is why I feel that the breatharian path is like a highway to spirit, to like your more authentic self, who you really are.
Yes, I agree, you know, and I love that you think that way. I love that you perceive it that way. And it makes for a more joyful journey because, you know, when you're talking, Rakhi, and you're talking about the pranic path, you know, the breatharian journey, and just what this means for you, was it intuitive? You know, when you started, when you got around people like Ray Mayor, when you started your own, you know, when you started dry fasting, when you started going days without, and just started going more and more liquid, was it something that you felt like you were guided to from outside, externally, or was it something that you felt inside, internally?
Good question. That's a very good question. I When I saw that interview that you can actually live without food, my whole world changed. I'm like, whatever it is, I have to do it. So I think it was both. It was internal, like I have to do it, and I think also externally, I was guided in both ways. I feel that I had to do this thing, and I cleared my path a lot of ways to clear a lot of things so I can go on this path. So it was, and I really felt determined. I feel like this was kind of my life's kind of like, I have to go on this journey and see what is there. So that's why I said, 1 year I'll do without any solid food. And then once 1 year went by, I'm like, life is so good. Why don't I do a second year? And now there's no looking back. It's just,
No, look. Now you're like, there's no. This is the point of no return.
yeah,
You're like, there's no going back.
there's no going.
Wow.
Because you feel so alive and so vibrant, and so, I mean, why would you go back? It just doesn't make sense to go back, right? Life is so good on this path, and there's so many adventures. Oh my God, Jerome, there are just so many adventures, and there's so many things to know about yourself, and so many changes within yourself, that life is an adventure when you're on this path, because you're always discovering new things about yourself, about other people, about life in general. So really is an adventure on this path. So it's always discovering new things. So, and I have found that every time I do an extended fast, I don't know, something happens. It's almost like a surprise. It's like, what's going to happen this time? You know, I just finished a 5-day dry, and I was like, okay, I'm going to, and I said, okay, I'm going to do a 5-day dry. I'm going to know what's going to happen, because every time I do a 5-day or longer dry, something happens. It's really weird. And this time I did a 5-day dry, and I don't know, Jerome, uh, it was life changing. It was there. You know how with there's certain trigger points that we all have, you know, and there are few and few trigger points that I have now, but there's this one trigger point I had. Okay, it was with a family member. Okay, this is one trigger point that was just like just throw me off, like off. Okay, this one trigger point, and so many things I've already worked on through this final, but this is one trigger point that was there. I'm sure there are more, but there was this one thing that always kind of, and so without getting into detail about it, that came up, and I was able to, it was with another person, that person brought that up again, you know? So I was able to see it from that other person's perspective, you know? And I was able to see, okay, that's where they're coming from. I mean, yeah, we do that, but you know, it was my trigger point, right? I wasn't able to see anything from anyone's perspective except my own. But now, after doing the 5-day dry, I was able to see it from their perspective in a very calm way. Okay, not even getting agitated, not even trying to calm myself down, but I was very calm, able to see it from their perspective. And I told them, yeah, I understand that you're saying this, but do you understand my point of view about this? And I was able to do it so calmly, to the point where I not only understood where they were coming from, but I was able to explain to them where I was coming from. And it was almost one of those things that kind of changed the whole dynamics. Now, this is no longer my trigger point, because I without getting into detail, I know it doesn't sound so great, but this was one of those things that would just fly me off the handle. You know what I'm saying, Joe? This is the thing that just, you know, but I was so calm about it, explained my situation and said, you know, this, and that other person understood where I was coming from, and they acknowledged, which never in their life had they ever acknowledged. They acknowledged, no, I do understand that. And just that acknowledgement heals so many things within us, you know? And so it just changed the whole dynamic. So now I don't have the trigger point. Now I have to figure out, I don't have too many trigger points now. It's like, oh, that's cleared up, you know? And could you imagine someone to clear that trigger point? They'd maybe have to go through counseling and go through therapy and spend thousands of dollars trying to figure out why they have the trigger point. But all I had to do was do a 5-day drive. Because you know what happens when you do a 5-day drive? It's like these memories, these trigger points are held within your body. And when you start cleansing, it's not only a physical cleanse, it's an emotional cleanse that happens. So you have cleansed all this toxicity from your body. And now you're just a new being. And it is so powerful to, and it only happens on these extended fasts, like 5 days, you know? And my last dry, which not last, but there's a 7-day dry I did. And that was also life-changing, because that just completely changed my life as well. So these extended, they get into the deeper issues that you may have, and it cleanses it out. And guess what? You don't have to do any other work after that, because you're cleansed. There's no therapy, there's no counseling, there's no trigger point. And it's free.
Right.
You just don't eat or drink anything for 5 days, and your life becomes different, you know? I mean, free. You just do it, and it changes your life. You know, it's just like, what?
It's free, you know? I love that you say that. It's like, it's not only is it freedom, but it's free of charge.
Yes.
Like,
You
it costs us nothing because we're not doing anything, you know?
You can heal yourself physically, emotionally, spiritually, just by doing nothing. You don't do anything.
Right.
And when you're doing the 5-day dry or something, you can just sleep in bed and don't do anything, and you will heal your body.
Wow.
And God knows all the other stuff. And because as we go through life, you know, especially our childhood years, you know, if those trigger points have been there, then it's hard to heal that, you know. But when you know, dry fasting, it heals it. It lets it go. And where you don't even have to try.
Right.
You're just healed, you know. It's not like, oh, let me try. No, you don't have to try. You're healed now.
Yeah. And I love this, because while you're doing nothing, your body is doing everything.
That's why you need to rest.
Okay.
Because you know, when you're doing a dry, people are like, oh, I'm feeling, well, it's okay. Your body is doing everything. You need to rest, you know? So it is okay hey, give yourself permission. Even if you're doing a 24-hour drive, if you're tired, you just rest. If you're doing 48-hour, 3.5 day, whatever it is, you just let your body. If it needs to rest, just rest, because your body's doing everything. And that's the least we can do for our bodies, is allow it to rest, right?
Right.
And not feel guilty about resting.
Right. And there's been times, I know that you've said this as well, Rakhi, that you felt the opposite as well. Like the paradigm was flipped. Like some dry fasts you've done, you felt very, lethargic. Your body was doing a lot of work. You had to lay down. And then there were other ones you said that you felt the opposite. You had all this energy. You were supercharged. You were high on life. You had energy in abundance. And you're like, what do I do with it all?
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly. So this last 5-day drive that I did, I had abundant of energy. I was going out running errands, doing all kinds of stuff. And I hadn't had any food or water or anything I did for 5 days, or 4 days. I was out and about doing stuff. So, it's your body. Just listen to it. If you're okay going about doing something, do it. But maybe next time I do it, I won't be, because maybe it's going through some deeper issues. Who knows? But it's just respecting the body. You're tired, sleep. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel bad about it. You're healing yourself in so many levels, right? So yeah, sometimes you don't have energy. Sometimes you have lots of energy because it's flowing through you. And so yeah.
You said, I like what you said about the trigger points. Like you said, there was this one thing, it was just this one little thing that, that used to always set me off. And, they talk about if someone is constantly pushing your buttons, one way to prevent that is to remove the buttons, like
Yeah.
you just took off the buttons,
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like after that, after your fast, after you're, being in your natural state, the buttons weren't sewn on there anymore, and it was like, oh.
Yeah. Not only were the buttons not there, even if they press a button, they didn't do anything.
Okay.
Healed. If you, in a way, if you remove the buttons, it's like almost like you're not healed, but the button is removed. No, the button is still there. Keep pressing it. It's not going to do anything. I'm healed. You know what I'm saying? It's not do. Go ahead. I have all these buttons. Keep pressing. Nothing's happening.
So no matter what, you're like, you can keep pressing them all you want, but it's not happening.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm even trying, but that energy, that whatever it was, I don't know, it takes you to a higher level where you're able to see things from a different perspective, and it just makes life beautiful. You always come out of a place of love. It's like, okay, and if I came out of a place of anger, that other person's not going to be receptive to what I said. If I was going to, yeah, this is my perspective, blah 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 blah. If I was angry, then the other person's not receptive. But it's not that I even try to control it. It was just love just came out.
Right. What comes out is what's inside. They always talk about that. That's one of the, like, it's almost like a spiritual proverb that if you squeeze an orange, you're never going to find grape juice, because that's not what's inside, is you squeeze an apple, you cut into it, it's not going to be, orange juice, right? So what comes out is what's inside. And I love this because, on your journey, going 6 years without solid food and coming from, I mean, could you say that you were a foodie? I mean, there were food that you really enjoyed. I mean, I remember you talking about pizza, and I remember you talking about certain things that were really tough to let go. And there were a lot of things like for me, myself, I've had fixations, I've had obsessions, I've had addictions to certain foods that were tough, really tough to let go. So what do you feel flowing and growing on this pranic path that makes the taste, the texture, the flavor, the pleasure of food, like it doesn't matter?
Because everything has a frequency, right? And we have a frequency. Now that frequency won't match, because if you're at a certain frequency, your frequency with like having potato chips is not going to match. You're going to be like, no, I don't want that, So everything has a frequency. So the higher your frequency, the more all these things are just going to go to the wayside, and like, I'm not interested, So I think that, yeah, frequency match is not there. Start going on this path. Yeah.
So what would you say now, like, when you said that this is the point of no return, you don't plan on going back. You're like, I don't see myself going in the other direction. What is so much more pleasurable now that, pizza just doesn't do it for you? You're like, I'd rather have this, as tasty as pizza is,
Yeah.
like the body holds memories. So we have all those memories.
And that's not to deny the fact that, you maybe like, for example, I do have a craving for pizza. So how do I satisfy that craving for pizza? I can make a soup that has the same flavors as pizza does, So I can satisfy it that way, saying, oh, okay. But I feel like eventually that also will go to the wayside, like that. But I feel like now where I'm now, say I do get a craving, I'm like, I can satisfy. There's no denying. There's giving it love. Like, oh, fine, you feel it. Okay, have it. Have your, I'll make a soup that has all the herbs and all that stuff that a pizza does, so you feel like you're actually getting the flavor of pizza. So yeah, so there are ways to curb that appetite, and then there are times where you just don't feel any of it, and the cravings get less and less and less over time.
Okay, okay. As you were speaking, Rakhi, Janet is saying, and Janet and I, we met you. The first time I met you was with Janet.
Oh, yes. Hi, Janet.
Yeah. So Janet is saying exactly, which is why when we keep raising vibration, solid is no longer a match and liquid is more resonant. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, yes. Right on, Janet. Yeah.
So more resonant. And Nabiha is saying it's all energy. Once you align your frequency from within, you only gravitate towards that same energy. So it sounds like along the same lines.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And what do you feel people underestimate or take for granted about that piece, when they're finding more frustration with trying to align with that vibration?
Well, I have to say, it doesn't just happen like, for me, it just doesn't happen like, oh, okay, now that I'm on this path. It's an ebb and flow of things. Like, you may have intense cravings, you may not, but it's not like, it's not a linear path of, okay, now from now on, it's no longer going to be this. It flows, it comes and goes. But more of that craving goes away, So it comes and goes, but it goes more than comes.
It got- it comes and goes, but it goes more than it comes. I love that. I love that. So, oh my gosh, when you're talking about this, because like we said before, I know we keep saying it, but it's no easy feat to go 6 years in a completely different direct, like completely, not only than you were used to, but the world is used to, like people around you in society, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, people who have known you, I mean, so many people are not living the way that you're living. So you said it took you really step by step. I remember you were saying like, okay, you got rid of this and that fell away, and then this fell away, and then there were nut milks, and then you got rid of garlic and onions, and certain things just started to just fall away, and you were like, okay, this is not conducive to my spirituality. This is not helping me on this journey. This too must go. This too must go.
Yeah, and it was a natural thing within, like they'll say in some of the spiritual communities, like a lot of these ancient religions don't have onion or garlic, right? Now, I can just blindly follow it and say, okay, I'm not gonna have onion and garlic. But no, that's not my way of doing things. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have the onion, I'm gonna have the garlic, and I'm gonna see how that affects me. And I did, I would put onion, garlic, and then I felt like, wait a minute, that's not affecting my brainwave patterns too well. It's getting me kind of on the edge, and it's not making me as like relaxed as I normally am and stuff. So I said, okay, you know what? They are onto something. And so it was all through experiment. It wasn't through blindly following something. And that's kind of what I'm all about, is through experimenting on my own. So then I found like, yeah, they are onto something. Okay, I'm going to give away onion and garlic because it didn't feel good. And same thing, it didn't feel good. And so I said, okay, let that go. And same thing with alcohol, because I used to drink alcohol. And even when I was on the path, I'm like, well, it's liquid. I can drink it, right? So I was having alcohol every now, not every day, but like every now and then, like a party or whatever, I'd have it. And then I'm like, no, that doesn't feel good either. So it was all on my own, just trying to slowly let go of things, you know. So yeah, so just.
Okay. So you felt into your sensations through experimentation.
Yes, yes, yes. Not blindly following that if you're on the spiritual path, you shouldn't have alcohol. Why should I not have alcohol? Let me have alcohol. What is it going to do to me? Okay, well, yeah, I don't like what it does to me, so let me not have it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You know, Rakhi, you remind me of Nabiha. She says that she would be the type of kid, you know, growing up that, you know, okay, if there's a stove on, the stove is hot. They say, hey, the stove is hot. Don't touch the stove. She was the kid, like when no one was looking, you know, like she had to find out for herself, you know, find out through experience and not through like hearsay,
Right.
you know.
You bring that example up of your friend. Basically, when I was a kid, I remember my mom putting me on the countertop, and there was a knife over there, and she just had to go get. She told me and my brother, we were both like young. She said, "No, don't touch the knife." And the moment she left, I went and took the knife, and I said, "How is this thing gonna cut me? I don't know how." So I went like this, and oops, it did cut me. And I was like, "Oh." She comes back and she was like, "I told you not to touch the knife." Well, from then on, I didn't touch the knife because I didn't know that a knife could actually cut me. I was like, "How can this metal cut me?" You know, as a kid, you don't really. You're so young. You just like, "Oh, let's see." You know, so.
Let's find out, you know, test and find out. So, would you say that that's the best way to learn is through your own experience?
That's the only way to learn, I think.
The only way.
That's true learning is through your own experience. I think you can read books and this and that, but the true inner knowing and whatever is only through experience. And I think, yeah,
Okay.
to others, but it won't be deep within yourself. Hey, this is my knowing. It's not your truth. It's someone else's truth that you're kind of taking on
Right.
in a way.
Right. So you say it's not just the best way to learn, but you say it's the only way.
Yeah, I think you have to go through it yourself
Mm-hmm.
to know it. Otherwise, I think you just be regurgitating what someone else is saying. You're not speaking from your truth because that's not your truth. You haven't
Right.
experienced it.
Right, right. And there is a different frequency and like vibration that rings off of you when you speak because we know that you actually live this, you
Yeah,
know? Like this is the energy you're giving, but it's also the energy you're living,
yeah,
you know? You've embodied this. So it just feels different when you hear it from someone who has actually had it. Yeah.
yeah. It's coming from a place of truth, of knowing, not just like just saying something because then the emotions are not involved because you're not speaking from your emotion, from your heart. You're speaking from a book that you read or something.
Yeah. Yeah. How have you adapted or how do you relate today when it comes to being around other people who are eating all the time? You know, everybody's always eating like, hey, let's go grab a bite. Like, hey, would you like some of this? Hey, are you hungry? Hey, like there's a lot of, I remember there were many guilt and shame frequencies or just different vibrations from friends and people who wanted to make meals for me, who were concerned about me not eating and wondering why I wasn't eating and how I was still living and how I was still, you know, exercising and walking and doing everything when I wasn't doing what they were doing. So how is your dynamic with the rest of the world now that you're 6 years into this journey?
Well, most of my family members already know what my lifestyle, and they're okay with it. And a lot of the friends I have, I kind of avoid it by saying, "Yeah, let's just go and get a coffee," kind of thing. Not that I'll get a coffee, maybe I'll get a hot chocolate or something. So it's kind of avoiding meal type things. And a lot of my friends also know that I'm on this path, so it's easy. Instead of going for a meal, we'll go for a walk. So it's I mean, I think when you're on this path for long enough, you start finding friends that resonate with you on this path, and your family members already are like, okay, she's weird. So
Was it ever challenging to lose friends who might have been like lifelong relationships?
yeah, it was difficult in the beginning. Obviously, it was very difficult because I was dropping weight very rapidly. My hair was falling out. My skin was all loose, and people were just like, why are you doing this? I mean, you've gone crazy. And so it's believing in my own conviction that got me through this, you know. But if I had listened to the outside world, I would have gone back to start eating, you know, because yeah, my weight was dropping. And I was skin and bones, and you know, my hair was falling out, and I probably wasn't looking all that healthy, you know, in the beginning as your body's transitioning into the chronic lifestyle. So all that did happen. But you know what? There was something within me and outside of me that said, no, you have to keep on this path. And so whatever people may say, and I had really harsh comments about, your internal organs are going to eat themselves up. What you're doing is not healthy. You're looking really weak and you're looking really pale, and you know, saying that to anybody, especially a female, you know, the female. I mean, it's like, oh my God, like really, it's really, it takes you aback, and you're like, okay, you know what? But I just kept going. It's like, it's okay, but it's all going to work itself out. And so I had some internal belief that it's all going to work out. So.
Yeah. What was your reaction to yourself? Like, what was your response when you were, dropping well, not only the weight in your body, but really the waste in your body, and then all sorts of things were just detoxing at a rapid rate. But when you were looking in the mirror and you see things like your hair is falling out, like, what was the before and after reaction to, oh my gosh, it's falling out? And then when it started coming back, like, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, so when my reaction first for my when I got a glimpse of myself, like I was changing my clothes, I got a glimpse of my body in the mirror, and I could not recognize my body. I'm like, oh my, I was just skin and bones, and I was like, what have I done? I had to almost sit down. I was like, what have I done to myself? What is going on? My skin is hanging, and yeah. So then when after a while everything started kind of my hair started growing back and my weight started stabilizing, it was like, yeah, see, I knew it. It's all gonna work out. So,
You're like, I never doubted. I never doubted for a second. You're
I
like, I
just
knew it.
I just had to grow through that pain of like, yeah, okay, but just stick through it, and if it works out, then I was like, yeah, so it does stabilize and it's all okay now. Yeah. And then those friends started saying, oh, you're looking better now. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Thanks for supporting me when you did. Oh, just
Mm. You're like, oh, you don't say. You don't say. Oh, look at me. Oh my gosh. So what did that teach you about the body to see such a regenerative healing factor take place? Like such a miracle molecule, like to kick online and to grow something that so many people feel like, they could never see, like a modern day miracle like that, What did that teach you about us?
about our bodies. I think our bodies are the most amazing thing that we just as humanity, we just abuse it and abuse it and abuse it.
Mm.
But our bodies are constantly trying to take care of us, constantly trying to do what is best for us. And most of us in this world just continuously abuse our body. And I just feel like it's almost a tragedy. If we can just tune into our bodies, I mean, this world would be different. We just wouldn't be in the world that we're in if we could just tune into our bodies. But I don't think that I mean, this world, I mean, this whole medical industrial complex where, you have to, listen to the doc. I mean, all the pharmaceutical drugs that we're constantly putting into our bodies, we just feel that our bodies are malfunctioning. They're not malfunctioning. We are not treating it properly. So we need to take drugs for it. No, you don't need to take drugs for it. You need to heal the body, but we're not doing that. We're not supporting our body so that it can heal itself. Our bodies can heal themselves, but we don't give it the support that it needs to heal itself, And the only support we can that is required, Jerome, like I said earlier, is do nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's free. Don't do anything, and you will heal your body. You'll heal your emotions. You'll heal your physical, mental, emotional bodies.
Wow. This is tremendous. It's like trusting the body, listening to the body, acknowledging the body for
For
the healing machine
the
yeah,
miracle that
the
it
miracle,
is.
the
Yeah.
miracle. Like getting out of the way of a natural process, you know, not being too smart for the body's own good. You know, you're saying like, oh, I'm smart. I know what my body needs, right?
Yeah, no, no, no. Your body knows what it needs. You know,
Right.
it will tell you. But we just need to cleanse it. Just don't do anything. The body will clean itself. Like I went on this. There was this female. There was a retreat that I was helping put together. And she was a doctor, okay? I don't know if she's watching, but she was a doctor. She's like, okay, I have notes now. Now, what are we supposed to do? What kind of breathing are we supposed to do? Now, what kind of exercise? And she was really serious about getting this whole Breatharian path cracked and to a science. You know what I'm saying? She's like, okay, now, and she comes up to me and she goes, so, yeah, so why are we not learning any breathing exercises? Because someone else was conducting and I wasn't conducting. She goes, why are we not learning any breathing exercises? Why are we not learning different methods that we should be doing? And I told her, I told her, I said, you know what we're really here to do? We're here for this 5 days, 6 days, 7 days that we're here. You know what we're here to really do is to try to figure out how to pass time. You know, all we're trying to do is how to kill time. As long as we can figure out how to kill time, our body is going to do what it needs to do. We need to keep our minds occupied. That's why we have these workshops, we have this and that, try to keep you engaged. You don't need to do anything. All you have to do is do nothing. Just keep that mind out of it. You know what I'm saying? So then she all of a sudden relaxed. She was like, you mean I don't have to do anything? I'm like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to relax, go in the pool, take it easy, swim, whatever you need to do. Just relax. And your body is doing everything. And that was like a revelation. She goes, how come no one told me that? I'm like, I'm telling you, just relax. Don't do anything. Just allow your body to do what it needs to do. So anyways.
Yes. Yes. Oh man. You know, I feel for her too, and I'm sure you can empathize and find compassion because, you know, just to for her to be, you know, whatever age that she was when she was asking you, like, how come nobody told me that? You know? Like, how come nobody told me I don't have to do anything? That I can just relax, that I
Yeah.
can just be and just allow and just be free, that I don't have to, you know, that I don't have to.
Yeah, because when you're busy trying to have to do all this, you're ignoring your intuition because you're busy saying, I have to do. Then you lose it. Basically, sometimes you just have to sit and do nothing and listen to what your higher self or your voice or intuition is or your spirit guide, whatever you want to call it, is telling you.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that you gave her permission. Like, you're like, okay, if nobody told you this, I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
okay. You know, you can relax, you can just be and killing time, just killing time. You're just like, all we have to do is figure out how to occupy the mind. All we're really doing is killing time. You're like,
7 days that we're there, you know,
yeah.
because that's what's the whole chronic retreat. I'm like, all you're doing, we're giving you these workshops, we're giving you these schedules, all this stuff, just so your mind is occupied, but your body's doing everything. We're just trying to kill time, making it easier for you to kill time. That's all we're doing.
Mhm.
And I mean, maybe that makes it sound so simplistic. Maybe the person doing the retreat doesn't want me to say that, but that's my reality. We're just killing time so the body can do what it needs to do to heal and repair itself, you know.
Yes, yes. No, I definitely resonate, you know, and that's actually one of the toughest parts for most people because we're used to doing. We're used to chewing, and we don't know how much time is actually taken up by, you know, thinking about food, going to buy the food, to acquire the food, to bring the food back, to cook the food, to make the food, to prepare it, to eat it, to digest it,
Yeah.
to wait for it to like to leave the body and then relieve the body, and then we're sedated, you know, and it's like all of that takes time. That's a block of time, and we do that block of time, you know, morning, afternoon, evening, and even snacks in between,
It's
you know. So
like we have a ball and chain that we can't go too far. Like we're just like glued to food, you know, like
yeah,
you can't go too far. That's it. But this lifestyle allows you to take out those shackles and free yourself and say, I don't need that.
right,
And it frees up your attention. Your attention goes to food. Now it frees your attention up. Like you can do other things now. You
right.
know? Focus on other things.
You can devote that energy, you can reroute that energy to another channel, you know.
Yeah.
It can go to another channel. You know, one of my friends was telling me, Rakhi, they were like, you know, Jerome, she said, there are times during the day that I find myself eating. She was like, I find myself eating and I'm not even hungry, you know? She's like, I just think, okay, I need to eat something because this is when I usually eat. Like this is what I usually do at this time, so let me just find something to eat, but I'm not even hungry, you know? And I was just thinking about, yeah, go ahead.
No, no, no. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, it's just the things that we do when we really don't have to. And it's almost like somebody told me luxuries once tasted become necessities. So when you think of food itself, knowing your conscious awareness where you are now in your journey, some people they think of food as, you know, a fixation or an obsession. Some people demonize food. Some people think that it's the enemy. Some people say, hey, it's not the enemy, it's just an experience. It's just like if you want to have this experience, you can have that experience, but if you want to have this experience, this is a different experience. And then some people think it's a full-blown addiction, like food is literally drugs. So where do you fall in the categories of how you see food as a whole?
That's a good question. My It's changed over time, but now I do really feel that food is an addiction. Um, it is, and it's easy to hide the addiction because everyone is addicted. So you just go and you eat, and no one's gonna. If you're going and doing drugs, like, oh my God, you're addicted to drugs. But if you go and eat, it's everyone's doing it, you know. So I think it's a real form of addiction that people have, and it's not helping their bodies. If they would not eat, they'd probably help their bodies more, you know. But I do feel that not to say that people can just stop eating. It's a process, you know. Your body is addicted. You don't just all of a sudden stop cocaine or I don't know whatever drug or whatever. You have to slowly take yourself away from that, right? Same thing with food. Your body is addicted, so you have to slowly remove that addiction, slowly take it away. And that is the strongest form of addiction is food. So you have to slowly take it away. And as you start raising your vibration, then a lot of this kind of does fall off to the wayside, you know. So
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you for that testimony, and thank you for your honesty and your transparency, because you even remind me there was a gentleman that, you know, he does a lot of, you know, breatharian workshops and classes, and he has WhatsApp meetings with people, and he was saying, his name is Christo. He said, if you break this addiction, you break every other possible addiction. Like it can never have a hold on you again. If you break this addiction to food, you break everything.
absolutely, yeah. There's no addiction stronger than food. I mean, that's it. Because it's almost society gives you permission, so you don't even think it's an addiction. You think,
Right.
yeah, no. There is no bigger addiction. I mean, once if you break the addiction to food, you're the ultimate like freedom from any and everything. I mean, that is the strongest thing. I mean, yeah, yeah.
Wow. And like you said, nothing is stronger than something that, I mean, it's endorsed, it's supported, it's
It's all
empowered, you know? Yeah.
commercials, there's restaurants. I mean, it's all around us. This is the biggest addiction. It's all
Yeah.
around us, and people feel that they need it for their livelihood. So it's everywhere. It is just the biggest addiction. So if it's like if you can break it, then oh my God,
Mhm.
you're just a completely different person. You know, it's like you're no longer you. You're somebody else. I mean, you're the true essence of who you are. You know, because you have to keep peeling all the layers of that. Yeah.
Mhm. So then, if that is the case, would you say that, you know, a large percentage of this journey is actually mental? You know, just the stigma, the relationship, the upbringing, you know, just the idea, the belief system, you know, the programming
Yeah.
that we have, you know, connection to food, is that the hardest thing that for someone to get over that hump?
Yeah. I do feel that it is mental, but as you start fasting, my God, fasting just or feasting, like feasting on air. You know, if when you start doing that, it changes you. It changes your mind. Remember how that thing, that trigger point, where was that trigger point coming from? Was it coming from here? Was it coming from, I don't know where it was coming from, but where it was coming from, it was gone. Like, you know, so with food, as you start fasting or feasting more and more on air, then your body starts changing. So that is the most powerful thing anybody can do. Anybody can do. What's the most powerful thing you can do is to fast.
Yeah.
It is the most powerful. And the longer your fast, the deeper the cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I found, like, I used to do 3.5 day dry, but 3.5 day dry wasn't doing anything for me. You know, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, you know, I'm like, now I need to up it. So I started doing 5 days. Like, okay, 5 days, really, I'm feeling it. You know, like I'm feeling like a change afterwards. You know, something happened. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I love how you changed it and you reframed it, Rakhi. You said you turned fasting into feasting. You said when you're feasting on air, instead of fasting on nothing, now you're feasting on something, but you're feasting on another source. You're feasting on something higher instead of feasting on like something lower. Yeah.
And as you start feasting on air, you will feel that when I'm feasting on, when I'm going on a 5 day feast, air feasting, I want to have short sleeves. I want to go outside and I want to feel the air because I'm feasting on that air. It's not just the air that we breathe in, but it's the air that's all around us, that's hitting our skin and everything. So I want to wear shorts. I want to wear a tank top. I want to feel that air because that air is what I'm feasting on and what is supporting me. So it's really important that we go out, and when you're feasting, even if you're, say you're tired and you're not feeling very, very well, it's important to just go outside and feel that air on you. You know? But that's where the feasting is happening, is through your skin as well.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it's like it's almost like we don't know what we're missing. And sometimes like we don't even, like I didn't know what healthy felt like, you know, until I experienced something that was so beyond my normal experience that it allowed me to realize that for the majority of my life, I had been living differently, you know, that I actually thought I was healthy. I wasn't that healthy, you know? So it was only until I went beyond a threshold, beyond like the barrier of my own belief, to where I was willing to see against all odds, you know, come what may, like you told us, you know, come what may, against all odds, I'm going this way, right? And that allowed me to see like, wow, I started to feel like I've been living a lie my entire life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? That energy that you have now, if you meet other people, they're gonna tap into that energy, and they're gonna, because it's contagious. Like when I start telling people that, yeah, I'm feasting on air, I'm fasting, whatever, they're like, oh, I want to do that too. You know what I'm saying? People that you would never think that would want to do it, they start seeing the healthy lifestyle, they start seeing it, and it's contagious. People want to do it. You would not believe, most people around me now, like when I'm doing air feasting and whatever, I'll send them a message about, oh, I'm doing this, and when I break my fast or feast, I'll send it. And I'm just what I feel like is like I'm just planting seeds in people, you know? And guess what? Those seeds are sprouting now. Now people are like calling me and saying, oh, you know, I would like to also do your air feasting. Can we do it together, you know? And I'm like, okay, every Monday we can do a 24-hour air feasting. And so I have a bunch of people doing 24-hour air feasting on Mondays, you know? And they want to do longer air feasting. So then I have a group of people that we're going to do a longer air feasting for 3.5 days. You know? It's contagious. Being healthy is contagious. I mean, it is.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Mindful Mondays. You know?
Right.
The Mindful Mondays. Yeah. That's beautiful. You started a movement. You started a movement,
Well,
right?
with people that I know, it's like they're attracted to this. It's
Mm-hmm.
like everybody healthy. Who doesn't want to be healthy? And fasting is really taken on now. People are like, oh, I do intermittent fasting. I do this fasting. So it's become the new thing. And so people are like, you know, okay, if you're doing it, I can do it too. So
Yes. Yes. It's like that light bulb comes on, you know, they realize like they see that light and then it gives them permission to shine. And you know, in the same way they're like, wow, I can do it too. If she did it, I can do it too.
And maybe you can do a dry fat 24-hour dry. It's okay. Maybe you want to do 24-hour water. That's okay too. Or maybe you can do a 24-hour water. You want to do a 24-hour juice. That's okay too. Or maybe you can't even do a 24-hour juice. Maybe you want to do a 24-hour fruit. That's okay too. I just start somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Just start.
Yeah, because you start, then you find that, hey, I can even push myself more
Yeah.
because the body starts changing and you start feeling great. And so you start to more and more. And that's where it all begins, just take that one step.
Just take that step. Put your toe in the water.
Right.
The water's fine. The water's fine. You gave me one of the best analogies, one of the best descriptions, and one of the most lovely depictions of your 5-day dry. You said, Jerome, it was like, a teacher in a classroom with a chalkboard. That's like a chalkboard is full of all these different things, like all these mathematical equations and problems and solutions, like everything on this chalkboard. And it was like somebody took a giant eraser and just wiped the whole chalkboard clean, and it was just blank.
That's exactly how I felt. This was my first 5-day dry on my own. Like I did a 5-day dry and I did it. And then afterwards, I just felt so free. Like everything was cleared up. The whole chalkboard, everything was clean. Now it's like a blank slate. Now I can create what I want to create instead of having all this writing that's there that maybe I didn't put there. Maybe it was put in me or maybe I did create. I don't know, but it was clean. Yeah. I felt that way. And then I was like, I want to do it. That's why I did it again. And that trigger point, then it's like every time I do it, there's a surprise waiting down the door, down the end of it. It's like, what is going to be my surprise this time? Well, this time my surprise was that button. You can press it all you want, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. Surprise. What'll it be next?
Right.
The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. There's a surprise around every corner.
Yeah.
So, Rakhi, I just want to thank you, just from the top of my heart, thank you for coming on, giving your testimony every time in your own authentic way. I love that how you don't filter yourself, you just allow it to just come forth and you just channel it through the way that you do. I just love it,
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's always so much fun chatting with you. Always, yes. So thank you for allowing me to share my experience. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And let people know your channel, where people can find more about you if this was their first time seeing you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel called Breatharian Yogini. And so just type in Breatharian Yogini in YouTube. It'll take you to my channel. And I have been documenting my path all the way from 6 years ago when I first went on my Breatharian retreat all the way up until now. So I've been documenting how life has changed, so you can, if you're interested in this path, you can kind of see my journey through the 6 years, what I've been through. And so I've been documenting, not as frequently as I'd like to, but I try to put out a video at least once a month. So I have been documenting my journey. So yeah, I have a few, 120 videos out there on my journey. So yeah, if you're interested or you want to see different things, how I've gone through life in this Breatharian path, it's all there. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, you've been consistent, and your documentation is very inspiring. And so many people, I love that we get to see how it started, and we get to see how it's evolved over time. It's a different thing where like some people, they just show up and you're like, they say, oh, this is what I did, but you don't see how they did it,
Yeah.
You don't see how it was done. You didn't really walk there with them, but we get to literally, it's all there. We get to walk the journey with you, and I think it's amazing. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Jerome.
All the best. All the best. So take care.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.